want to thank all of you for being here today, and if you would please stand, we'll have a prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Morgan.
Let us pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we ask that you would be with us today to guide us to do your will. We would ask that you would be especially with those who suffer from recent disasters and shootings. Be with their families. Especially today, let us remember all of those who were in any way affected by the 9/11 Holocaust. We would ask that you would lead us, direct us, and guide us, that we might serve you through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. We're delighted to have all of you here today, and I'd like to call this meeting of the Cabell County Commission to order. We'll begin by the first item, which is approval of the September 12th regular commission agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made, it's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed no, motion carries. Next item, minutes, regular commission meeting, August 22nd, 2019.
Long time. So moved.
I second that.
The motion's been made, it's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed no, motion carries. Erroneous assessments, land consolidations, split tickets, probate documentation, county clerk's probate office.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made, it's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item is purchase orders, number 293668 through 293977. Pay jackets, monthly payments to Fifth Third for fuel card purchases, ACH drafts for weekly claims experience administration cost Highmark.
So moved.
Motion's been made,
I'll second.
has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is citizens registered to speak. We have a couple. Monty Fowler, and I believe the recycling issue's on the agenda, so if you want to speak at that time, absolutely.
Thank you.
And Paul Davis, Family Court. Paul?
Good morning, everybody. It's come to our attention that the Supreme Court and maybe the local family court is maybe looking for other options to move out of our building. And as I've been talking to Judge Keller and some others, it sounds like that the big issue is that the uncertainty whether the building is for sale or the 30-day clause in which they actually, it was their lease. We didn't ask for that 30-day exit clause. Sean and I both, back here, we're just a couple guys from Huntington that, really took on that building, which was one of the worst buildings in Huntington at the time. It's probably the number 2 or #1 fire hazard. And we took that building on, and just a couple guys, a couple East High School graduates, and we really didn't know what we were getting into, but we wanted to do something good for both Cabell County and Huntington. And so Family Court, soon after we bought the building, started looking at our building, said this would probably be a good fit to come out of the courthouse, because space was a problem here. And we knew that it was not a really good deal at the time, but sometimes with Walmart and everybody else, they have to have lost leaders, and we thought that, at $11 a foot, and at the time, Steve Canterbury said, once you get the family court over here, we'll look at a first year's expenses, and then we'll kind of decide, can we help you further in the future? Well, we were on a run. We're kind of new to this whole development thing, and we thought, well, surely we would have the other floors done by now, and developed. And so, long story short of it, we haven't been able to attract any new tenants besides that, and we have been, Sean and I both, from the tune of about anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a month, subsidizing that building. okay? And it gets tough, now, I gotta tell you that, and it's hard. And, my good friend over here wrote a check in July for $10,000 to make sure we could pay the bills, and it kinda upset him, and so he sent an email, maybe a little aggravated. But at the time, it was, okay, we're gonna do it. That, we said, reminded them that we had a 30-day escape clause if somebody else would come along. Probably not the best thing in the world to do at the time. You know, when you think about it, you know, the expenses are running anywhere from $12,000 to $18,000 a month, and we're getting a little shy of $11,000. So, better than nothing, you know? We want to keep the family court in our building. We've spent a ton of money, I mean a ton of money, on renovating the building to the tune of about $2.2 million. And now, not all of that's the second, third floor. The renovations, the building was $300,000, but about 1.9, might as well say $2 million. So we have a pretty good, you know, we got to service that debt. And so what we want to do and what we have proposed to the family court, we will give them the assurances they need. We will exit from the 30-day clause, and we've taken the building off the market. It's not for sale. This is not a situation where financially we have to sell the building. It's not like that. And so, well, how we got to there, and I just want to make sure that what happened was, based on Kelly, your recommendation. that
Never
we-
said to sell it.
No,
I
no, 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 you did not, no, let me get
Never
there.
recommended to sell it.
No, I'm not saying that. When you said we should get a realtor involved, and so we did.
For lease of the
For lease.
remaining floors.
Yes, yes, I'm with you. So we did, and so when Andy was, you know, we were writing the contract and, you know, the agreement with the realtor, he said, well, is there a chance you would sell the building? Well, I said, well, you know, I bet every building in Huntington's for sale, and we put a price tag on it, like, I don't know, maybe, well, 3.2. He said, you really probably don't want to sell it then, do you? And I said, well, it's really not. That's not our intent here. And so, second and third, or third and fourth floor in the unleased space is really what he was, hopefully, was concentrating on. We want to give the family courts and the Supreme Court justices their reassurances. The building has been taken off the market. If it's not, it's in process. The for sale sign has been taken off the building. And all we're concentrating on now is the fourth and fifth floor and the first floor of the unleased space. And so it's important to us. We're packing a pretty heavy load on the debt service of that building. And that second and third floor was designed by the Supreme Court.
Exactly.
And we built that space out for them. I mean, it's not as if we had space that we don't. So we need to save that relationship if we can. We want them. We don't want them to go away. We'll give them a long-term commitment, whatever they need. Right, John?
Have you had a sit-down meeting with
We
all the
can't get the
family
summary-
judges?
That's the big thing, and, you know, part of that email was, we've invested all that money for the Supreme Court for that, and at no time, the only discussion there's been has been the discussion when we would see at that county commission meeting. That's why I was trying to get, we just sit down and talk. It may just be you guys furnishing the toilet paper. I mean, right now, we're furnishing even the toilet paper. I mean, I'm just saying, we've never had the opportunity to sit down and, maybe there's nothing nobody can do, but we're just trying to get it to the table. If we get to the table and there's nothing we can do, then so be it. We'll stay where we're at. And there's no chance, we're not losing this building. We're not going bankrupt. We're fine. You know, we made that commitment, that $1.5 million to renovate those two floors. Further respect, I heard now that it said they got several thousand feet that they don't need. We'd have rather fit it out 6,000 or 7,000 square feet instead of 11, but we fit it out per the Supreme Court. So we're just, you know, I hate it because now it sounds like to me they don't want to be there. I hate to rent somebody that doesn't want to be there. I don't know if there's more to it than we know, but we're there. And family court wants to stay there. We're willing to sign anything. Matter of fact, that email that I sent that kind of got everybody upset. Even in that email, it was very clear that we would rather the family court stay there and be a long-term tenant. That was part of that email. And all I was doing was making it clear didn't dream that it would go like this. I thought what this would do would get us at the table, the bargaining table. We've not been at the bargaining table, so, like I say, we did all that, we're partners with the county commission, with the Supreme Court. We've not had the opportunity to sit down and talk about this, so. Paul didn't want me to send the email. I said, Paul, we gotta do something, we gotta, so, and I've heard I told you so. So I sent another email and tried to clear up and say, hey, all right, we made the deal, we'll stand by it, and so that's where we feel, so. We just wanted everybody to know, we're not selling the building, we're not pushing nobody out, we'd love for them to stay there.
I'd just like to say the county commission doesn't know anything either. We've not been contacted by the Supreme Court, and we really don't. We hear things from family court, but
Yeah.
we really have not been contacted, and Beth has been in touch with them, but we've not had any
They've not
conversations.
responded anymore to me, and I
They're
heard,
not talking to me
I
either.
had heard that, you had heard that I had supposedly been out looking for space, and the first I found out about it was the email we got from the Supreme Court. So I had nothing
I
to do
had
with
other
it.
realtors call me, all the money, I know everybody in Huntington, and so it's hard to do something in Huntington, and we're still a small town, even though we're a big town, or we're supposed to be.
That's true.
But if you see somebody outside on the sidewalk standing in front of a building, and it's the family court, and it's others, and, Jimmy and Phil or somebody, then you kinda assume, it's not too hard to pick that picture together, what's going on. And then, of course, it started all rolling out, started hearing rumors. So I called Patricia and I said, are you looking for another building? She said, absolutely. I thought, I said, okay.
Okay.
No, but in that group, they said, oh, the county's over there and everything, so that's probably how your name got brought in.
I had nothing to do with whatever they're looking at, so.
What we're just asking, before you make a decision, if you at least sit down and talk to us. We went out on a limb and borrowed a lot of money, so at least give us that right, to sit down and see if there's something we can work out before you.
Yeah.
We don't have any decision to make, as I understand.
We're the
it.
pass-through entity.
We're just a pass-through for the
I'm on your
money.
side, but we,
Well, I'm just wondering if maybe the Supreme Court, if they've heard something, and I guess, I don't know, unless they're just basing everything off that email, so, maybe we need to sit down and talk to them, but we just wanted to
We gotta
reassure
get them to
you
the
guys
table.
and everybody in here that we're not, we're here for the family court, and the county commission, and all that, that was our whole intent.
Well, we can certainly try to facilitate a meeting so we can sit down and talk, because I think that's very important. Like I said, we're just hearing things, we've not been talked to either, so maybe we can facilitate that kind of a conversation. Appreciate you all coming.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that has something you'd like to talk to us about that's not on the agenda before we get started? Okay, we'll move on then. And the first item is a presentation discussion from Mark Buchanan, and Mark is over the Cabell County Solid Waste Authority. And so, Mark, I'll just let you take it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the time. My name is Mark Buchanan. I am the director for the Cabell County Solid Waste Authority. My little part-time gig with a full-time position down on Marshall's campus as their environmental specialist, so quite busy. But nonetheless, super proud of what we've built over the past 24 months now, since we made some drastic changes due to some money issues that we had. But I wanted to give sort of an update of how we're doing, what's going on, because I know if you're paying attention to this, if you are a recycler, you probably heard that the city of Huntington purchased our building, and that's the case. That's one more thing that we're going to deal with. It's just one more hurdle. We've had several be thrown in front of us, and we always find a way to make it around or over. So that's something I'll bring up a little bit later. But nonetheless, because the county commission was gracious enough last year to allot $100,000 for recycling in Cabell County, I've been coming in, giving some reports, letting folks know how it's going. This is a little bit late coming. I should have been here probably July, truthfully, but nonetheless, here I am. So
Well, we're glad to have
numbers
you.
are going to be a little bit higher than a quarter's worth. So anyway, we now have 17 8-yard bins at the facility over on Virginia Avenue. We still have the 8 8-yard bins over in Barbersville. And we're still doing the run over to Milton every Saturday. I've got a driver that pulls a large trailer over doubling it up. That's really growing for us, that part of the county. Right now, last I had my guys pull data for me, we've got 1,650 households that are using the Virginia Avenue site. And it's nice to see some numbers, and that number is continuing to climb, actually. We're probably seeing an increase of probably 8 to 10 people per weekend. I only keep hours on the weekend. I've got a couple of Marshall students that work for me to keep the office open, and actually pull the trailer up to the Milton site. Over in Barbersville, we're still sitting right around 425 households that are serviced at the Depot Street site. And those are numbers that we have for those out of the folks that don't live in Barbersville. I told Mr. Tatum that I would keep that separate from his folks and make sure that we keep it picked up and whatnot too. I don't have accurate numbers on Barbersville's number of residents that are using the site. I was told it's about 400, which is good. So we're over 800 households just in that little Barbersville site. We could definitely do more if we had a larger site there, but that's just not on the slate. We actually had a couple conversations with the Cabell County Board of Education, who were interested in offering up some property that we could put something a little more permanent in that Milton, Barbersville area around Ona. But the site that they were considering was just gonna take too much money to try to develop and make something of it. So we're kind of holding off on that right now. We're gonna try to wrestle with this stuff with the city of Huntington first. Right now, since April, we have recycled a total of 297.4 tons of material. Not quite as flashy as what it used to be. But like I said, the program, it's been honed down, and we are so much more efficient, and the material is super clean, is what I've been told from Rumpke. Basically, Rumpke is our hauler. They come in, they pull these dumpsters, and all that material is taken up to Columbus or Cincinnati and processed. I have been to the site twice now, with another trip this early in the summer. It was very impressive. It's all mechanized. They do have some folks on the line, but the materials that are on the fronts of those bins, that list, everything is recycled. I know everybody, if you pay attention to the news, recycling took a hit this past, spring, late winter into the spring, about with China closing off, accepting a lot of those materials. And from the pictures and stuff that I've seen, if I was over that program or accepting that material for that country, I would have been pretty upset myself, because it looked like it was just land material that should be going to a landfill. But on the other side of the sea here, we had folks that were, praising that the recycling and doing all these great things, and the truth is that a lot of that was going into a landfill. The benefit for us with Rumpke is that Rumpke, 98% of those materials that come from our sites stay in the Midwest, actually, between Kentucky, Indiana, Northern Ohio. All those materials are accepted. About 2% is sent out, but it's super clean material. We were invited, and our material is so good now, we were actually invited to come to a roundtable discussion back in the spring to discuss our program, because what we're doing is a little bit unorthodox. It's a little bit different. Over in Ohio, they set these sites out every, in a certain distance or radius, and everybody has 24-hour access 7 days a week. So it looks a lot like what the sites used to until we switched everything up 2 or 3 years ago. Now, where we restrict everything, our materials have become extremely clean. The worst case scenario that we have now is that we have people that will throw some plastics into the containers. It's a type of plastic that we don't actually recycle. We're not dealing with drywall, 2x4s, and construction material and brush, which is what, on a typical Saturday evening, you'd pulling down to Kroger to check, and I'll be getting phone calls in the evenings. My guys are saying, "What do you want me to do?"
Or mattresses?
Mattresses, I forgot about that. That's a nightmare.
Furniture.
Oh. So, and I always wonder, we've had several instances where my guys have stopped people and caught them. I told them, don't get any physical altercation, get, driver's tags and things like that. But, a lot of times it's folks, it's the 1% of the folks that end up making it bad for everybody when you have that kind of situation. And, but nonetheless, we've dealt with it, and I think we've overcome that. Knock on wood, we haven't had any issues. Worst case scenario is, at the site down there is, other than a few things that we have on the front of the bin that they're throwing in instead, we've had a couple of folks wander into the building that were a little inebriated and or high, unfortunately. So, but we've curbed that problem too with the Army, with the National Guard folks. All right, moving forward, expenses since this past April, for the budgeted amounts that we've had, contractor labor expenses were $22,016.48. I had budgeted $21,899, so we were $116, about $116 over budget. But those grants are starting to peel back now. I'm coming to the ends of them and whatnot. During this period, back from May or the spring to now, we've held 2 electronics recycling events. We've collected 150 tons of unwanted electronics and televisions. That's the minimum. We actually held one, Monty, was it a week ago, a week or two?
Labor Day weekend.
Okay, and we had a decent turnout. It was a Marshall game, and we were only collecting 4 hours, but we were collecting televisions. We collected a lot of televisions. So those went back with the contractor over to Indiana. I haven't got a solid number on that, so that 150 actually could be higher than that. We have been visited by several regional solid waste districts to come and take a look at our model, what we're doing over here on Virginia Avenue. We've been contacted from the Monongalia, Monongahela, I can never get that right. Up north.
Monongalia.
Okay. Up north, they were very interested in trying to do something similar to what we've got going. But to date, as far as what we have spent of that $100,000 so far, we are up to $54,417.99 is what we have spent. And my question today is, I know I've got one more payment that's supposed to be coming, but I didn't know with that remaining balance that's there, the $45,582, if I put that and invoice that total amount, or if I'm going to be able to continue to collect the rest of that and maybe do it on 2 different invoices and have an invoice say now and then an invoice come say in December. And that would actually put us into that 2020 year, which is the second part of my presentation. My question is funding for that year, if that would be possible. So I'll pitch the ball to you and listen.
Thank you. We appreciate it. It's always nice to hear an update.
What do you want more money for?
I'm sorry?
Excuse me, what do you want more money for?
What do I want
in
more money
2020?
for?
Yeah.
Wow. We just want to continue the program on its current trajectory. We are continuing to grow. I and as the board members that I work with, we're not against having the people come back to that kind of that paid-for system and knocking that price down. What we did originally was we eliminated that cost to participate. It was a service. That's the way we looked at it. It was a service that some folks wanted to use, so they would pay for it. When the funds came in, we dropped that fee, but we still charged them the $5 for the fob to try to keep all that separate. That's worked out very well. Like I said, we went from having about 700 households to we're over 2,000 now.
Well, when you are evicted from your current spot, is it my understanding you're going to go to where the city now
Yes.
has that land by the bridge?
And that's, I don't know if you've worked with the city much, but sometimes it seems a little slower than, we have, I've reached out to some folks with the city after we were given this news. And the mayor wants this to succeed drastically, very, very much so. So they have offered us the parcel over there. I think it's right beside the 6th Street Bridge. I think it's the old garage. The building itself, I want no part of, to be quite honest with you. It's pretty dilapidated for the most part. But I'm willing to work with the city, and that's what we told them. We're going to incur some expenses on that site as far as we're not going back to the old way of setting them out and everybody's going to have 24-hour access. We're not going backward. The city's going to, what we discussed at our meeting yesterday is the city's going to have to probably come up with some funds to at least cover the expenses for the fencing and the setup for the electric. I've got another grant that I just pitched to Charleston that we're asking for an office trailer that we can set up and do business there and have folks come in and out of when they need to do business with us face to face instead of the phone calls. That's the plan. I pitched some numbers to Strinsko, and from my understanding, they want to get the property surveyed first, and I've been waiting for that. I've got a contractor from over in eastern Cabell County, who's ready to go, I mean, as far as fencing is concerned. At least come out and start giving me some solid numbers that I can lay this out and start having some hard numbers that I can start budgeting with. So I'm kind of waiting for the city's, the next move.
Are they going to lease the property to you?
I was
or-
told we will get that for $1 a year for 100 years, is what I'm told. Nothing is on paper yet, though.
Okay.
So, but that's, you know, and I've wrestled with, some of the board members, we don't really have consensus, but I feel like we probably need to own property ultimately, so we don't have the same situation. We were growing, we were gonna be out of this site probably in another year. I mean, it's tight now, they've got the bins stacked in there pretty tight, it's not as bad as Barbersville. But folks continue to come in, and folks continue to, we have a lot of folks that are coming in from out of, that haven't lived here in Huntington before, new residents, that they're coming in, and it's a quality of life type of issue for those folks. You know, one of the things they do, they sign up for garbage service, then they start asking about recycling. And, you know, if they come from larger cities, say like Louisville, Columbus, or any of those regions, it's pretty common, it's curbside. And, you know, so at least we have a program across the county that addresses that, and we do have it, where it can't be viewed as backwards.
That site was perfect when you started.
Yeah, yeah, and it's hard to kind of leave it behind. But what I told the board the other day is our stock has risen because 5 years ago, if we could have gone to the city and said, I want, you know, an acre and a quarter, whatever the size, they would have laughed us right out of the office. But now we at least have some bargaining because of what we've done. So we're trying to at least capitalize on some of that.
So you will come back to us with some numbers.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'll come back with some numbers. Tentatively, right now, what I'm told, and actually, I just checked an email, Mr. Ensko just emailed me a little bit ago, because I was, like I said, really willing to move and try to get this rolling, because I just don't want them to come out and say, you're out next week. Right now, I've been told it's probably December, maybe even January. So I've got some time, but I'd still like to try to get some of these things lined up and taken care of before, you know, the rubber meets the road, and it's, you know, we're trying to move, you know, 17, 8-yard bins to a new site, and trying to get everything taken care of, the utilities and whatnot, so. But yeah, it's a little hard to leave that behind because it's worked very well for us. And if anything, we always thought that we would end up getting that second half toward the flood wall and just doubling the size of the lot and staying there. It's not an option. So, but the site that they are offering is actually larger, and if we can get the fencing and stuff correct, we're just gonna continue to grow. And like I said, we're still very interested in trying to locate a site around that Ona, Barbersville, Milton area, so we don't have to drag the trailers up every week. Two young guys that drive, and I've ridden with them, and it worries me. I don't like employing the large trailer, especially when it's full. If we had a site up there that we could allow those folks in, take care of it, it would be just as accessible as what we have down here.
The only thing you're asking us for today is for a difference in when you receive your money?
Correct, yeah. I know, I was under the assumption that we would have a year to spend that $100,000. And we
Now,
have.
Beth or Sandy could respond better to that than we could.
I think we've already
Yeah,
paid
I
out that
don't-
100,000.
No, it's
The
been.
last meeting that you were at last year,
Mhm.
it was my understanding, and I thought we were on the same page. The last invoice that you sent us, it did not total $100,000.
Correct,
The
correct.
presentation was that you had gotten grants and found other money, and I understood, and I thought that was what we were doing. You didn't need the $100,000. So the last invoice you gave me, it didn't make 100, and we paid that one out.
Right, and when we talked, I said there's one more payment coming, but there's a balance of $45,582 from the original 100.
I didn't understand that part. I thought he was just saying that he had other funding and didn't need this 100,000, so
Right,
they
and I
weren't
did-
paid the 100,000.
Oh, okay.
Correct, and I did, and it's probably my fault for the way I presented that, but we did pull in some additional grant funds that basically make that money that you guys committed to go even further. Instead of working for a year, it's probably gonna go for a year and a half, 18 months at least. So
See, we're
that's-
into a new fiscal year.
Correct, yeah, back in July 1, yeah,
Right.
correct.
So we can't, whatever we committed for last year and paid last year, that stock
Whatever you're asking for now would need to be in
this year's budget, yeah.
But what you're asking for is no more than what you thought, and maybe by
Correct.
not accounting properly, didn't get.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, and I think if I'm not mistaken, when we even made the request, it was late. It was already into July, then when you guys appropriated those funds. So we were already a quarter behind instead of it falling perfectly in fiscal year. And that's the issue, I realize. So that's why I'm here asking the questions.
What fund was that paid out of, Sandy?
economic development. That was when we had asked initially for the funding, the vote was that the commission said that yes, we can help support that, but the money would need to come from economic development.
I think it's something we're gonna have to look into. We appreciate you being here,
Okay, that's fine.
because some of this is new to us, so we'll have to check it all out.
Okay. Well,
And then if, in the meantime, if you'll put together some numbers for us,
Will do. Will do.
And I would also like for, you mentioned the people coming from other cities, you know, like Columbus and different places.
Uh-huh.
Could you find out and do some research as to, is there a service fee that they were, you know, used to paying? Because, I mean, I was a little concerned when I saw that the fee was there in place and then it was just gonna be eliminated and then rely solely on grants and government
Right. And it's,
funding.
You know, and I, like I said before, I have no problem, absolutely no problem with going back, revisiting how we cover those expenses. If it's a public-private partnership where those who want the service have to pay X amount, so be it. You know, it's nice to have those other funds there to meet shortcomings, shortfalls, whatever, so,
I think Ohio County came and visited you too.
yeah, that's.
They were very interested.
Yeah, like I said, it's something that's a little unorthodox, but it's working, and it's been something that we were asked to come to Charlotte. Actually, it was the State Solid Waste Board meeting that was held last fall. We came to make a presentation on what we've done, so we're proud of it. You know, it's not pretty, somebody has to do it.
It's an unrecognized quality of life question.
Good call. I like that. Gotta use it.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mark. We appreciate it. Moving on to a resolution. Oh, Marty, I'm sorry. I am sorry. You're welcome to speak.
I'm not feeling tip-top, so I want to say my piece of it.
Okay?
My name's Monty Fowler. I do live in the city of Huntington, and I'm here first off to say I owe you guys an apology. Because last year, when the Solid Waste Authority came, I was thinking we were going to put something on the ballot, permanent funding. And the commission voted to give the Solid Waste Authority $100,000. I kind of derisively muttered under my breath that that was just a Band-Aid.
Are you sure it was under your breath?
No, I believe Mr. Morgan said, no, it's not. But I'm here to say I was wrong. You gave us a Band-Aid, true, but it was a really good Johnson & Johnson name brand Band-Aid. It wasn't one of the dollar store kind that peels off as soon as you get it wet. It kept the program going. It's growing. Every time I go there, I'm not there by myself. There are other people putting their recyclables in. At the last e-cycle event, let's just say there was a lot of really old technology that now is going to get a good home where it's going to be recycled and reused. And I would just encourage the commission, I know this has all been kind of ad hoc and it hasn't run as smooth as all of us would like, but I would like to encourage the commission to keep supporting it and do the right thing. Because quite bluntly, even though I live in the city of Huntington, I don't have a lot of faith that they're ever going to do the right thing. I spoke at a council meeting a few weeks ago, concerned that what Mark alluded to might happen. One day the city would show up, change the lots, and say, you guys are done. And then we would have literally thousands of people with nowhere to put their garbage, so it's going to go in the landfill, which doesn't help anybody. The mayor assured me afterwards that no, that's not going to happen. I'm going to make sure of it. That's what he told me. I take you guys at your word because I know your word is good. It has been in the past, and I would just like you to keep help us keep the program alive, because as Mr. Morgan just said, this is a quality of life issue. People are looking to move here, when industries are looking to locate here, they look at all kinds of things. And if they're from like California or Massachusetts or Texas or some big state, that's what they're gonna look at. And if we say, we've got a recycling program, they're gonna go, oh, okay, that's just like a quote-unquote normal state. And that helps. It's a little thing, but it can make a huge difference. So I just wanted to speak to that, say thank you for the Band-Aid, and I look forward to another one. I would prefer one with cartoon characters on it this time.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monty. Okay, now we'll move on to a resolution in the matter of a resolution of support for a grant request to the West Virginia Development Office. Oh, I'm sorry. I just jumped right past Daniel Linville. I'm not doing well at all today, am I?
Sitting right in the middle of.
And I've been sitting here looking at him the whole time. We have another presentation, and we have with us today Delegate Daniel Linville, and he wants to talk to us about the Senior Lunch Program grant match.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioners, thank you for having me today. Good morning, everyone, and to the public. I just wanted to come here and bring something to the commission's attention and sort of make a request. In the budget this year, the legislature was able to, in the Committee on Finance in the House, add in a $1 million supplemental appropriation for replacement of the Meals on Wheels delivery vehicles across the state. Now, $1 million, obviously doesn't get all of the Meals on Wheels vehicles across the state, but the figures that we were given was that would be able to replace approximately 20% of the fleet that are currently in use by our senior centers all across the state. And the spending authority for that, because it was out of what's called lottery surplus money this year, was just given towards the end of last month to the Bureau of Senior Services. And I had a conversation with the Commissioner of the Bureau of Senior Services, wherein he said that this month he would be putting out a grant application that our various senior organizations all across the state could apply for. And in those discussions, he let me know that one of the things they would look at is whether or not a county, one, had a substantial need, and just for background, many of these vehicles are 10 to 15 years old and have hundreds of thousands of miles on them. So he was looking for the potential to stretch the appropriation of the legislature a little bit further, and in doing that, he let me know that there are two different kinds of the hot cold vehicles that they generally use with Meals on Wheels, and that is a Subaru equipped with the hot cold outfit on it that runs about $30,000, and a Ford that runs about $50,000. And in my conversation with the Bureau of Senior Services, they let me know that they'd be looking for, if possible, a $10,000 match if someone requested one of the Fords, and a $5,000 match from non-state funding if they were looking at the Subarus. And so I've had conversations with CISO. I know that they have one or two more that could really use replacement, including one I think that was going in the shop last week to have a transmission replaced at a pretty substantial cost. These are not so easily replaced because of the hot cold outfits on them. And so my request to the commission and to anyone here would just be for you all to consider a resolution or an action of the commission which would appropriate up to $20,000 to CISO pursuant to and contingent upon a grant award being made from the Bureau of Senior Services. So that would effectively allow us to provide the match on the two most expensive vehicles, and if they try to replace them both that I've been made aware of. And so that's my request to you. I think it's a very worthwhile cause, and I think, I don't, you all know this better than I do, but I believe that there are some monies available for seniors and things of that nature. And of course, if the action that I recommend would be taken, if we don't win the grants, you wouldn't be out the money. So
Okay.
that's all that I have for you, and thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Daniel,
Yes.
CISO had a meeting yesterday. Their oldest truck delivery is 16 years old, as you said, and they are delivering 6 routes of Meals on Wheels with five vehicles now, so, I'm sure that they could use some more and when we get all the information. I'm in favor, but,
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a great use of senior levy money. I mean, look at the
Yes.
people that it benefits. I would have no problem with that at all.
Yeah, well, and if for $20,000, you got $100,000 worth of vehicles that would go for 15, 16 years, I just think that's excellent. And the second thing that I would mention is that in my conversation with the commissioner, of Bureau of Senior Services, he let me know that he was hoping to be able to close the applications and begin to award the monies by the end of the month. And so there is somewhat of a sense of urgency on this consideration so that they can include this in their grant application. And I'm more than happy to write a letter in my capacity as delegate in support of their grant application. And the only second action that I would consider requesting from the commission would be that you all consider writing a joint letter in support of their grant application when it's appropriate. So, thank you all.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Well, we appreciate you looking out for us too, because
Yes.
sometimes we don't know about those things.
Yes, ma'am.
And it really makes a difference. Next item that we have is a resolution in the matter of a resolution of support for a grant request to the West Virginia Development Office for Industrial Access Road Funds.
That's just what it says. You all have done these in the past. It's similar to what Delegate Linville's requesting for that particular grant. This is to HADCO, this one and the next one are both HADCO grants. And this is the county doing resolutions of support for those grant requests. This one is, in particular, is for industrial access road funds. And the state makes funds available to upgrade roads for access into industrial sites.
Yeah, and that has to come through the commission. We have to approve
Right.
that.
So moved.
Motion's been made,
second?
has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. And the next item, in the matter of a resolution of participation and cooperation with the West Virginia Local Economic Development Grant Program. Again, that's from HADCO.
Right, so it's for economic development. It's a resolution of support and cooperation with HADCO on getting the grant.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made, it's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item is a reappointment of Charlie D. Webb, Cabell County Building Commission.
Have they met yet? They haven't met yet because of this lack of appointment, or?
No, they met and did.
did?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So moved.
Second?
Motion's been made, it's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Irv came in just in time to get his dog fund money.
And then he left.
$519, did he leave?
Mhm.
$519.30.
So moved.
Second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item is Irv Johnson sheep and goat tax of $10.50.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made, it's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. We have a letter from the sheriff for the employment of Joseph McQuaid, part-time security officer, Brian New, part-time security officer, and Preston Clark, part-time security officer.
So moved.
Motion's been made,
Second?
been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item is from the sheriff, and that is our 2018 delinquent real estate list. We're always happy to get that.
Last year, we had 3,897,000 delinquent. This year, we got 4,363,000 delinquent. About 466,000 more dollars delinquent than we had. But our tax rate's a little higher, so that number's
And we do have different organization working on collections, right?
Bellamy and Turner.
Bellman and Turner.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yes, they're actually hired a full-time paralegal to start on this, and getting ready to get geared we got 2 publications coming in the paper and then the sale in November. They're gonna concentrate mostly on our personal property, not our real estate. They concentrate on the personal side.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have a resolution for the employment of Craig Adkins, full-time EMT, Peter Matthew Lunsford, full-time EMT, Andrew Dew Withrow, per diem EMT, Nicholas Von Tate, per diem EMT, Shane Michael Black, per diem EMT, Travis Chase Ellison, per diem EMT, Bailey Rochelle Gervin, per diem EMT, and Zachary Miller Meter, per diem EMT. We have reclassification of Larry Jividen, full-time EMT, Whitney Jones, full-time EMT, Angela Johnson, full-time EMT, Jeffrey Brent Ryder, full-time EMT, and Brian Parham, full-time EMT.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made, it's been seconded, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have Cabell County EMS wants to donate some vehicles. First one goes to the Green Valley Volunteer Fire Department, 2009 Ford Expedition. The next would be a 2011 Ford Expedition to the Burrisville Volunteer Fire Department. Next would be a 2010 Ford Expedition to Milton Volunteer Fire Department. And they'd like to donate a boat and trailer, 2000 Crown Line 19-foot trailer to the Ohio River Road Volunteer Fire Department.
So moved.
This is basically where we're replacing our vehicles. We acquired 3 new vehicles, 3 new pickup trucks, very similar to what the sheriff acquired. They're on the road now, and this gives us back to the volunteer fire department so that they can use them to take them to schools and so on. I'm not going to get anything out of them if I trade them in, so I'd rather give them back to the county and the volunteers and let them use it, with your permission. And it's a win for everyone.
Sure. We have a motion? Did you-
Second.
Second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And thank you.
Next, we have the Cabell County Commission discussion on the Quanta Vista Park property. Paul Turman has asked us to waive some covenants on that property. Bill, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, back when we had the deed, that was September of 2003, and it went to the American Trust, Inc. The deed had several covenants of restriction, and they were there partially because it was next door to subdivision, and I think that's where Al Ferguson lived, and now, because of circumstances, they haven't been able to sell this property, and the people that now have bought it wanted to develop it to establish one-story duplex homes and matters such as that, which would not be allowed by the current deed restrictions, and so they're asking that those be waived so that they can proceed with building the homes and put the property in, on the tax rolls. So it'd be my recommendation to go ahead and waive those covenants and restrictions from that deed and allow the new owners to proceed.
I know lots of folks would like to see that land developed. It's just been sitting there a mess
Right.
for many, many years.
Would it be any kind of a subdivision or senior housing or just?
Well, as they said in his letter, as Terman said, they want to construct several one-story duplex patio homes like out at Wingate. And he said those homes are typically 1,400 square feet, and some of the restrictions require like 2,000 square feet, things like that. So it'll be helpful for senior citizens too. Because like you say, it's just sat fallow for a long, long time. And now if we have somebody willing to do some construction,
Yeah.
we all benefit from it.
I think it's seniors he hopes to attract,
Yeah.
at least that's what he told me, with these houses. And he said you see them in lots of places in Florida, and I think there's some around here, maybe over in Ohio, that have turned out to be very pretty subdivisions and smaller homes for seniors that want to downsize.
So do we,
We would recommend that we would take a vote to waive the covenants and restrictions that were contained in the September 2003 deed.
and we have the authority to do that.
Yeah, because we're the ones
We
that
put them there.
deeded the property to begin with, and we're the ones that established the.
We didn't, the commission.
No, we didn't. I wasn't here. I don't know that you were here either.
Yeah, we, the commission, established them, so we would have the authority to release them, so to speak.
Well, I move that we, the commission, remove them then.
Okay, motion's been made to waive the covenants.
I second that.
Has been seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have a state revision number 3. Beth, you want to talk to us about that?
This is the detail sheet for the state revision of August 22nd, where the budgets were restored. And this was the officials letting the commission know how much to put in each line item out of the amounts that were restored. So it's essentially the backup for that state revision from the last meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so moved.
Motion's been made. It's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Now we have county budget revision number 1.
This is the county clerk, courthouse, and 4-H camp accounts, moving some money around in those particular accounts.
Okay.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made. It's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next is the matter of the pledging of temporary letters of credit by J.P. Morgan Chase Bank.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made. It's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item is the matter of the pledging of temporary letters of credit by West Bank Wheeling.
Your turn, Kelly.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made. It's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion has carried. Next item would be a letter, again, to the West Virginia Department of Highways, safety issues on I-64 in Cabell County follow-up. I think the issue is that we didn't get a response from them from our first letter, but I do know they've been out there working. They've been out there trying to clean out all the drains so that the water can drain away from the road, and they won't have that problem. So even though we didn't get a letter, it looks like they're paying attention.
So you recommend we do nothing?
Well, I don't know that the letter's necessary, and I don't know that you're gonna get a response from it either, if that's what you're looking for.
Well, that's kinda it.
They're not very good at responding to letters, but they have been out there working, that's the good thing. And I think it's gonna be a continual problem with those drains. I think they're gonna have to continually clean them out if they wanna keep the water off the road.
It's the drains, and as I said before, it's the barrier that goes down. Before, the debris would go into the medium. Now it has nowhere to go. It goes and lays against a concrete wall. And it's probably, like you said, it's gonna have to be a monthly thing to get the debris. When there's wrecks, things fall off cars, so on, it just builds up, and then it blocks the drain. It's maintenance. That's all it
That's
boils
pretty
down
much it.
How about we send them a letter thanking them for cleaning the drains and hoping they do it on a monthly basis?
I don't see anything wrong with that. That way maybe we could encourage them to do continual maintenance.
It truly, it needs to be done.
I think that's a good idea.
Well, what we just suggest that they do routine maintenance on a regular calendar basis. I mean,
Anywhere they have
Ongoing.
the concrete barriers, and that's basically from 29th Street on down. And it's a problem, it's a big problem.
Okay, so Jim, you want to put that in form of a motion?
And I move that we do whatever I said we ought to do.
All right, we're gonna do what Jim said. That's the motion. I would
So-
second that motion.
So the letter will basically say that we understand they've been working on alleviating the situation, but we would like to see an ongoing routine maintenance effort.
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
I think that's good. So we do have a motion, we do have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Now, we need to place on record minutes to be recorded. Culloden PSD regular board meeting, July 17th, 2019. Pea Ridge PSD regular board meeting, July 15th, 2019. Other documents to be recorded would be the Pea Ridge PSD manager's report and field report, June 2019. Pea Ridge PSD general ledger balance sheet and income sheet, period 1, year ending 2020. Monthly statement of assessor, Cabell County, West Virginia.
So moved.
Motion's been made, it's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Is there anything you'd like to talk about under the commissioners' representation reports?
I'd just like to thank some of our presenters that were at the town hall meeting the other day. Gordon Mary and Dr. Kilkenny, the sheriff. There were about 400 people in attendance, and I think it was very informative, the information that was disseminated, and I'm just glad that they were able to be there to answer questions and to present. So thank you for being there.
I would like to say that on Gordon's behalf, I hope the spotlights aren't as hot and that the rest of the auditorium is warmed up a little.
Sun's 3 hours up there, a little long.
That's a long time. What about, do we have anything for the good and welfare of Cabell County? Hearing none, as soon as we sign the necessary paperwork, the meeting will be adjourned.
And I need to
Thank you
sign
so much
quickly.
for coming.